Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. And
Quorum, so call roll and then.
oh, do we have enough of? We're first going to have the secretary call roll.
Irwin,
Here.
Chavez, Ashajian, Alejo, Arambula, Daly, Frazier, Mathis, Solis.
All right, and I am going to call up Mr. Bonta for AJR 37. Good afternoon, Mr. Bonta.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and colleagues. I'm presenting AJR 37, which urges Congress to pass HR 2737 and S 1555, which urge Congress to award a Congressional Gold Medal to the Filipino veterans of World War II in recognition of their duty and service to the Philippines and to the United States during World War II. The Filipino veterans of World War II have unfortunately become a symbol of injustice for the Filipinos and Filipino Americans in the United States and in the Philippines, because during World War II, more than 200,000 Filipinos and Filipino Americans were called into action and promised full benefits, including citizenship, for their service and for their selfless efforts during the war. However, the veterans never received those benefits they were promised. Rather than being honored for the roles that they played and recognized as the veterans that they are and were for their service, they were rendered ineligible for benefits or for public recognition when President Truman signed the Rescission Acts of 1946. Thank you, colleagues. I believe this would be an appropriate recognition for the service of Filipinos to the United States and to the Philippines during World War II. They fought side by side with U.S. military servicemen and women, and this would be asking Congress to pass the two bills that are before them to provide one Congressional Gold Medal in honor of all of the service of all of the Filipino veterans. So with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Bonta. Other testimony and support?
Madam Chairman, members, Pete Connie representing the California State Commanders Veterans Council, and all veterans groups are in support. Although we don't have a formal letter in, we've always supported correcting this injustice for our Filipino comrades.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Don Harper. I'm with the American Legion. I'm the legislative chair of the commission. We have 110,000 members in California. We're here to also support this. No veteran or anyone who fought for us should never be left behind. So please support this. Thank you.
I'm Colonel Lorna Grease with Military Officers Association Council of Chapters, and we support this very important bill.
Very good. Do we have any testimony in opposition? No. Well, we have a motion that the AGR be adopted, and I think it was by Mr. Frazier, and a second by, was it Mr. Daly?
Solis.
Mr. Solis. All right. Very good. Vote, please.
Irwin,
Aye.
Irwin, aye. Chavez, Chavez, aye. Ashajian, Ashajian, aye. Alejo, Arambula, Arambula, aye. Daly, Frazier, Frazier, aye. Mathis, Solis, Daly, Daly, aye. 7-0.
The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair and colleagues, for your support. Thank you, staff, as well. Thank you.
Have fun at the graduation.
Thank you.
All right. Let's take up the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
All right. Motion by Mr. Daly, a second by Mr. Frazier.
Irwin,
Aye.
Irwin, aye. Chavez, Chavez, aye. Ashajian, Ashajian, aye. Alejo, Arambula, Arambula, aye. Daly, Daly, aye. Frazier, Frazier, aye. Mathis, and Solis.
All
Solis, aye.
We have Senator Leyva up now presenting SB 384. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, members. It's a pleasure to be here and present SB 384. SB 384 requires a percentage of state funds awarded for veterans housing to be reserved for housing for our most underserved veterans, those veterans who have very limited housing options when returning from active duty. For single-parent veterans, for example, both male and female, finding adequate housing is nearly impossible. More than 60% of transitional housing providers who serve women do not house children. A recent report by the U.S. Government Accountability Office found that women veterans identifying themselves as homeless more than doubled, increasing by more than 140% from 2006 to 2010. As you may know, many of these women also suffer from military sexual trauma. For these women, housing in facilities that overwhelmingly house male veterans poses serious safety and privacy risks. SB 384 provides flexibility to ensure that entire facilities can house our most underserved veterans, such as females with children. This bill requires the California Department of Veterans Affairs to work with local agencies to determine the appropriate amount of funds that should be reserved for this unique population. With me to speak in support of this bill is Ms. Nydia Holmes. She would like to share her story with all of you today, a story that reflects the struggles of our veterans with children to secure safe housing. This bill has no opposition, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Nydia?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nydia Holmes. I served 3 years active duty in the U.S. Army. I'm also an MST victim. I was raped by a soldier that was in my unit that could run, so he was valuable to the unit, and I was a private, and I was not valuable. I also have a child as a result of the rape. For the last 20 years, I've been in a domestic violence situation with my husband, who has also been here, and I recently got the strength to run away. When I ran away, I went to military and veteran organizations to look for housing for myself and my children, and what I received was the runaround. I also received calls saying that funding wasn't available. I received no calls back. Then I also, one organization got me a hotel on Watt Avenue, and there was a lot of prostitution. There was single men there. There were people walking around all throughout the night. And with my MST, it was too much. So it was safer for me and more comfortable for me to pack my children up, and we slept in my car at Walmart, because there's lights everywhere, there's cameras, and I felt safer at a 24-hour Walmart than I did at a hotel. The thing about rape is it not only destroys you physically, it destroys you emotionally. Little things that we take for granted every day, like going to the grocery store or going to the gas station. It takes me 2 hours to do something like that, to get the nerve to go up. And even going to the VA hospital to get simple things as pills is not simple anymore. So the importance of a bill like this is greatly needed. Is something that unfortunately I had to go through, but maybe it was important for me to go through so you guys could see a face as to what the issue is. And the issue is housing is needed. My only option other than to sleep in my car was to live at my mother's house. My mother, from the ages of 3 to 12, pimped me out so that she could have boyfriends. And I literally ran away to the military to get away from her. And for me to have to return there with my children at 37, it was like a kick in the stomach. Also, other options were to go to shelters. But the problem with the shelters is I have a 14-year-old, and he would not be welcome in the shelter. He would have to go into foster care. And my children are already traumatized enough as it is, and just separating all of us as a family would make it even worse. So my car was the best option, and it was what I chose.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers in support?
Madam Chairman and members, Pete Conity representing the 14 veterans organizations and the California State Commanders Council, and we're in strong support. And I want to applaud the witness for coming forward and sharing her story with us, because these are the things we, legislators and the staff and everybody need to hear. So thank you.
Madam Chairman, Don Harper again with American Legion. My other background, I have 25 years working with transitional housing for veterans and underserved groups, and the witness is entirely correct. We need to do something, make sure there's stable housing for her and her family. We strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Lorna Grease, Military Officers Association. We strongly support this bill just to fill in the gap in housing. It's very important for mothers and children to be raised in a stable atmosphere.
Thank you. Any speakers in opposition? Any questions from the committee? Comments? All right, we had a... Yes.
I wanted to take a moment just to thank the witness for having the courage to come here today and to share your story. It's powerful to hear your words and truly moving. So thank you for coming here today.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Senator, my understanding is you are willing to take a committee amendment?
That is correct.
All right. And we have a motion by Assemblymember Daley and a second by Assemblymember Asajian. Do you have any final words?
I appreciate the consideration. I appreciate the attention, and I too appreciate my witness sharing her story. And I think it goes without saying, no veteran should be sleeping in their car, especially with their children. So thank you, and I hope you'll vote aye.
Right, and I have just heard from the my consultant that the amendments have been distributed to the committee. And what was your final?
They require collective determination.
Okay, and it's about collective determination.
Terrific, thank you.
All right, vote please.
The motion is do pass as amended and re-refer to Housing and Community Development. Irwin?
Aye.
Irwin, aye. Chavez? Aye. Chavez, aye. Ashajian? Aye. Ashajian, aye. Alejo? Arambula? Arambula, aye. Daley? Aye. Daley, aye. Frazier? Aye. Frazier, aye. Mathis? Solis? Aye. Solis, aye. 7-0.
All right, that moves forward 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you. And we have Senator Wolk up next with SB 543, appropriations. Okay.
You want me up here?
Yes, sure.
You want? Sure.
It's to housing. All right. Good afternoon, Senator Wolk.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. 543 creates the statewide Veterans Home Morale, Welfare and Recreation Fund, commonly known as the MWR Fund, requires the administrator at each veterans home to deposit locally maintained funds in this new fund. It requires the establishment of an MWR advisory committee at each home to provide ongoing guidance for the fund, including budgeting, contracts, investments, expenditures, and revenues. The bill also maintains current limitations on the fund expenditures, ensuring that funds are spent on functions or activities that are directly related to the morale, welfare, and recreation of the residents. My staff and I have met continuously with the department and with residents to create a workable solution that provides CDVA the oversight and accountability that they need, while ensuring that the residents have a voice in the rules and regulations promulgated by the department and the necessary local control over the administration of funds. We've been working on this. This is probably the second session that we've worked on this. It was not an easy thing to accomplish, to make sure we had balance from oversight and account, from the oversight perspective, but also maintaining the local control and voice in how these funds are expended. Ultimately, we streamline the distribution of the funds in the homes, and that will serve the best interests of all veterans' home residents, and they were concerned about that and have been over time. This has bipartisan support and no opposition, and I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any other witnesses in support?
Yes, Assemblyperson. My name is Ed Warren. I am the chairman of the Allied Council at Yonkville, which represents about 52% of all the members in the homes. We've supported doing something like this for several years. We pay a little bit of price. We make the largest contribution to the state central fund through our reserve. And I just want to read you the first sentence in our letter that I believe you have before you, which is that the letter confirms our support for SB 543 in its amended form. The Allied Council, as required by our policies, unanimously, every single member, passed a formal motion for approval at its June 8th meeting. And we urge you to vote aye. It's something that's necessary for all the homes to have a decent MWR system.
Thank you. And any other witnesses in support?
Madam Chairman, members, Pete Conity representing the California State Commanders Veterans Council. While we don't have a formal letter on this bill, we're very aware of this issue, and want to thank the Senator and Ed for their work on this issue, and we think this bill should move forward. There is a bill, a plug, SB 980, that will come before you in 2 weeks dealing with veterans' homes, and we have purposely left out any reference to this section of the code in that bill. Thank you.
Any witnesses in opposition? And do we have any committee comments? I'll just say real quick, I do have in our county the Ventura home, and they have been discussing this for a long time, and it's really going to benefit the veterans there. So thank you very much for bringing this forward.
You're welcome.
All right. We had a motion by Assemblymember Salas and a second by Assemblymember Asajian. And then we have the roll call, please.
The motion is do pass and refer to appropriations. Irwin?
Aye.
Irwin, aye. Chavez? Chavez, aye. Ashajian? Ashajian, aye. Alejo? Arambula? Arambula, aye. Daly? Daly, aye. Frazier? Frazier, aye. Mathis? Salas? Salas, aye.
Thank you very much, members.
Right. That vote is 7-0, and it is re-referred to appropriations. Thank you. And now we are looking for Senator Bates. He's not here.
Madam Chair, did you make an announcement? I might have missed it on the runner bill.
No announcement yet.
Okay, just curious. Just curious.
All right, we're going to go ahead and do some add-ons right now for Assemblymember Alejo, who just joined us. All right, AJR, right?
For the consent calendar, we have ACR 188, which was be adopted as amended, and SB 159, so do pass. Alejo, aye. AJR 37, Alejo, aye. SB 384, Alejo, Alejo, aye. SB 543, Alejo, Alejo, aye.
All right, and then we are going to announce that SB 1259 runner, the author has requested to pull that bill. So we are just waiting for Senator Bates.
Can we move the bill to consent?
It's on our way. Yeah, call. They said she's on her way down. This is James Dean of Veterans Affairs. Everyone's waiting for your member. 2 minutes ago? All right. All right, thank you. What 26, James? Just waiting for Bates. I called him, said she's on her way, called him again and said, oh, she left 2 minutes ago, and then she just walked in. Perfect, yeah. This is it, yeah. All right, bye.
Senator Bates, we're anxiously awaiting your arrival.
Sorry I had you guys up. Busy day.
All right, we have Senator Bates here, and the senator is going to be presenting SB 1458. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman Irwin and members. SB 1458 is sponsored by the Board of Equalization member George Renner and seeks to make California law consistent with federal law so that any veteran receiving service-connected disability benefits at 100% will be eligible to receive the state's disabled veterans property tax exemption on their home. There are currently 5 different types of discharges from active duty that veterans receive: honorable, general, other than honorable conditions, dishonorable, and bad conduct. The problem with current statute in California is that only veterans who receive an honorable discharge may qualify for the disabled veterans property tax exemption, whereas federal statute allows the same veterans to receive benefits if they are discharged under honorable, general, or other than honorable conditions. SB 1458 fixes the problem and gives 100% disabled veterans access to a tax benefit they deserve. Additionally, the bill necessarily helps California veterans returning for more receive a merited property tax exemption as long as they meet the appropriate discharge eligibility from the service. It is supported by the Board of Equalization, American GI Forum of California, American Legion, Department of California, AMVets, California Association of County Veterans Service Officers, State Commanders, Veterans Council, Military Officers Association of America, Council of Chapters, VF, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the Vietnam Veterans California State Council. I plan to take amendments, and I think those were given to the sergeants to distribute.
Are you taking these Because the consultant is saying this is really the first time he's seen, you're taking these in Rev and Tax, correct?
Yes, they'll be taking, knowing that we had this compressed schedule, we'll be taking them as we go forward to Appropriations Committee. They address the concerns of the Assessors Association, which has been concerned over a burdensome procedure for refunding disabled veterans' property taxes. So I'll be introducing the amendments in the policy, unable to do that in the Policy Committee, but we'll be doing it in Appropriations. The Assessors Association is in strong support of the bill with those amendments, and it's received no votes today. It has no opposition. And Tanya Vendrick was here with me today representing Board of Equalization member George Renner, Michelle Pyle, Peel Sticker, also from the Board of Equalization to answer any technical questions that you might have. Thank you.
Do you have statements in support, or you are just here to answer questions?
I'm just here for George Renner, who's sponsoring the bill, in support.
Okay.
And the Board of Equalization as a body voted to support this bill as well. We think it's narrowly tailored and will help veterans receive the benefits that they deserve.
Move the bill.
And then do we have any other testimony in support?
Madam Chair and members, Greg Cook representing the California Assessors Association. We're in support of the bill, and we are in strong support of the proposed amendments that the author has presented to you today. Those amendments are critical for the implementation of legislation that was adopted 2 years ago, Senate Bill 1113. When that legislation was adopted, unfortunately, there was a technical deficiency in that the expeditious refund of the taxpayers' funds for the total 8-year period was left out, and as a result, it has been a very cumbersome and quite inefficient attempt to try to implement that bill. And so with these amendments, I think that both the taxpayer, the veteran, as well as the administrators, the tax collectors, the boards of supervisors, and certainly these county assessors will benefit greatly from this amendment. So we urge your support for the bill and the proposed amendments. Thank you very much.
Lorna Grease, Military Officers Association. We support this bill.
Don Harper with American Legion. We also support this bill. Thank you.
Pete Conity, California State Commanders Veterans Council, and we are in support of the bill as proposed to be amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conity. Do we have any questions of the committee, comments of the committee? All right, so we had a motion by Assemblymember Asajian, a second by Assemblymember Arambula, and the motion is due pass and re-refer to Tax and Rev. Can we please do the roll call?
Irwin?
Aye.
Irwin, aye. Chavez?
Not voting.
Chavez not voting. Ashajian?
Aye.
Ashajian, aye. Alejo? Arambula?
Aye.
Arambula, aye. Daly?
Aye.
Daly, aye. Frazier?
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Mathis? Solis?
Aye.
Solis, aye. Alejo, aye. That's 7-0.
All right, Senator, your bill's out, 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and I think that concludes our business. This meeting is adjourned.